Taco, markets again, record after record after record. This week, the 37th record of the S&P 500 on Wednesday. The Netherlands was playing football against England. A night to forget.
Yep.
But anyways, that's football. There's only one team that can win. Yeah, so
maybe Spain Sunday.
Maybe Spain on Sunday. Yeah. Or maybe the English viewers do like to win that England wins the Europeans, of course. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the stock market. Stock market S&P 500 was hitting the 5,650 levels almost. That is, that's never seen before. And it's also, what you said correctly. What is next is all. It's like there's no reference anymore. There's no reference, okay, we're going to hit that resistance level or we're going to maybe break through that old support. Everything what's coming now is new after new after new. So, it all depends on the possibility in the market. There was a lot of expectations about a possible rate cut in September of this year. That's what the market was estimating. And then one of the key elements what was taken in consideration for this week was the CPI, as the Consumer Price Index, and they came out yesterday. Pretty interesting figures. The inflation is going down. The expectation was that it was going to be 3.1%. Eventually, it was 3%, so slightly lower. But on the other hand, what we also saw is that the jobless claims, so people asking for a payment from the government, they were much lower. So the economy, despite really relatively high interest rates, is still very, very strong. Companies are not laying off their people yet. They don't have any troubles yet. So that might be then a reason for the Fed to say, okay, let's keep it longer, higher for longer. That's what they say. So that was interesting. And where the market will go is unclear. What we do know is that we are at relatively high levels. We never say what is high, but we can say we are high. We've never seen this before, and you see that also in investment performance. It's a moment, I think, for people to consider maybe taking some profit if you are in a positive scenario. But you should have always thought about that before. And sometimes it's difficult because then you sell your stocks and you want to say, okay, when am I going to buy them back? At what price? Well, you're going to show us some tricks with an instrument that we really personally like. It's options. It allows you and it obliges you to think in a strategy. I just want to go back with you to the portfolio that we presented. We don't present portfolios, but we talked about artificial intelligence at the beginning of this year, and people sometimes wonder how did that go. Well, you can have some sort of thoughts because of course it went really, really well. I have an example portfolio here that a client made based on the seminar in March. And if you look at, for instance, the cybersecurity ETF, it went up with almost 16%. If you look at the Wisdom Tree Artificial Intelligence and the X-Trackers Artificial Intelligence ETF, both of them 27% higher. Are we looking at the SMH, which is the VanEck Semiconductor ETF, so basically following the chip industry like ASML and ASMI and Nvidia, I think is also in there, up almost 18%. So you see really, really high returns. And maybe you think, that's normal because the market is going up and it's going really well, but it is not normal.
No, it's not so easy.
We worked together for almost 12 years and we never seen these kind of circumstances in the market. And that's also what I heard, Taco, on a podcast the other day. Nowadays, people working on Wall Street, they never, so that's the 40 years and the 50 years, they may be working 10 to 20 years in the sector. They never lived a environment as we are seeing at this moment. Looking at individual stocks that were bought in that period, like Google, Leidos, Microsoft, Skyworks, companies that we highlighted at that moment, all up also 5%. But I'm just talking here about a couple of months. If you look at an average real estate investment after all your costs and all the things that you need to take in consideration, 6% is nice. Here you're making with buying these companies 5 to 6% in just 2-3 months. So this is something for you to consider. First of all, to take some profit, but also to realize that investing in the stock market is really lucrative if you do it in the right way, of course. So if you then want to sell those stocks, when are you buying them back and how do you buy them back, Taco?
Yes, I want to highlight everyone is still struggling, of course, because you can say, okay, this is a nice profit and it seems to go up and up and up. But you have to think, of course, also about the possibility of lower prices. And a month ago, I think it was, we started to explain about the possibility to use options. And I have to say, not because it's mandatory, but really it's a complex and a difficult product if you are used to only buy and selling stocks, then working with options, yeah, it might be more risky in some occasions. Sometimes it's even less risky,
Yeah.
but it is complex. So we always would recommend to study. We have our own courses about
Yeah.
it, so that would be very nice to see how we think about it. But it's also like a pity to not mention some kind of strategies,
Yeah.
because it really can help you. The last time, the month ago, we spoke about a call option to sell it on your stocks and buying a put as an insurance. That's one way to deal with those higher prices if you are struggling with those prices. Today, I want to have a look at an investor that has, for example, Nvidia shares, and he considers selling them. Well, that's not a bad idea, of course, but maybe he is selling with the purpose to buy them back at a lower level. So yesterday it was trading 127.5 dollars, excuse me. It fell back actually quite a bit. And maybe an investor is used to wait until the price of 120 is reached. Maybe he can place a limit order to wait, good to cancel for a month if that level will be reached. But of course, you don't make any money in the meantime. If it's never going to fall back, yeah, you just don't have any position, and that's of course a disadvantage. You can actually work with options and obliging yourself to buy Nvidia back at that $120, for example, during until the 16th of August, and you will receive a premium of $4. If you take a September, it will be more, but that's something, the details of the options we're not going to discuss now. You have to really study it yourself. But the idea to receive $4 now, knowing that the worst case that can happen is that you have to buy them back at 120, so actually you pay 116. Yeah, that's $11 difference. And that could be a very interesting tool for you to say, okay, I take my profit, I don't mind to buy them back at 120 minus 4 is 116, and then I have my position back with a discount of $11.
Exactly.
If Nvidia continues rising, so it won't hit the 120, okay, at least you made a $4 extra income. And of course, maybe if it's trading at 150, you think, okay, I should have not sold it, but at least you make $4 more. And in the case that you have to buy them back, it will be at a 160, considerable lower price. I really think that is something that you should consider. Sometimes you say, okay, I work with the put option, it's selling a put option. Sometimes you say, okay, the call option, the sold call option with an insurance. Sometimes you say, I just sell and I don't do anything. But those kind of struggling, that everyone has it, and you need to know the tools that you have. Well, this is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, the possibility to translate your ideas into something and you get some money for it, I think that is definitely something that you need to consider. You want to know more about it, call Taco, because he can explain it better than anybody. So I'm going to be on holiday for the next 2 weeks. So next week, Casper and Taco are doing the market reports together. I hope to see you again after my holidays. Have a great weekend and give us your time.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for watching.